What's Chris doing here? Is that the right tool for the job, Chris?
It is today.
Fucking hell. Okay, so that's the first row of blocking. So that's basically going off a bit there now. We've got to actually cut blocks for the whole second row. The height is worked out just wrong. Works out at 15 3/4 from floor to top of deck. So we're going to have to slice the blocks, well, 3/4 size, 5 1/4 inch to go on top, and then allowing for 1/2 inch bed in between. That'll then bring the level of the blocks correct so that we can drop the top frame of the dyno straight into that, and it should sit correctly over the rollers, with the rollers sat flush on the concrete bed at the bottom. So it should all just drop into place hopefully once we've finished. As you can see, the hole is only just big enough lengthways. We probably went a bit tight there, and we're actually looking at probably chipping out a bit more concrete here, because we wanted to put a bed of concrete actually around the outside here at the end. A, to fill the gap obviously, and B, because it will help tie everything in, to strengthen the heck out of it. So I'll probably still do that just to try and beef it up a bit. We're just going to get a disc cutter now because I can't be bothered to use the 9 inch to cut through 4 inch block. So we're going to go and get the petrol one just to cut through the blocks a lot quicker.
3/4.
I can't remember.
5 3/4.
So I only just turned the mic on.
You what?
Only just turned the mic on.
No, I am.
Okay, so we're over in the other shed now, where I'm just keeping this dyno for the time being, and there isn't really room in the workshop, and it's a bit heavy to lift in there complete, so we're just sort of working on it over here. So I got the concrete in the hole and stuff now, kind of waiting for that to go off, so I just sort of start stripping this down. It doesn't really need anything like the work that the Clayton unit that we had before did, more, you know, just the simplicity of it really. So either way, we got to completely strip the unit down, just so we can actually get it in, because sadly our workshop doesn't have very much headroom, as you probably noticed over the years. So there's no way of lifting this in with the tractor because you can't get the loader over the hole. So obviously we've lifted it in here with the tractor because you can just about get the loader in the doorway there. So what we're going to do, much like we did with the other one basically, is strip it all down in here. Then we'll put the frame down in first, and then we can manhandle one roller at a time, then the eddy brake, and obviously all the covers etc. afterwards. Basically making it handleable by hand. So I'm just started stripping it down. Obviously once it's got this all apart, it's all going to get pressure washed and really cleaned up. I'll probably repaint the frame. I'll certainly be repainting all the covers and everything. Sort of cleaning all this grease. That's, obviously these are all greasable bearings on this unit. So there's been lots of years worth of grease that have been pushing out the sides, etc. So we'll clean all that up, sort of get things looking much tidier. So the first thing I've just done this evening is to remove the air brake, the air lift. So that's basically the long plate that you see there. That then pivots off the two bearings on the ends there, allows you to lift the car between the rollers so you can get out easily. That's something that we didn't have on the Clayton, which, although it wasn't a huge problem, it is useful, because we did used to find if the tyres were cold on cars, you'd actually have some traction issues getting out. So obviously this sort of negotiates the need for that. So there's the actual airlift itself. There's some plates of steel that sit then between that and the two airbags. There's two independent airbags. Big long thin ones, which then allow you to have that amount of lift in sort of in fairly confined space. It looks to me like whoever was using it before has literally just got a normal snap-on air fitting on the end, and they must have literally just been snapping the pipe on at the end of each run or something. That seems a bit of a bodge, but obviously that'll be put on a solenoid and controlled either by a button on the hand controller, or I'm hoping to actually put it on one of the auxiliary outs on the new software, so that will be controlled by the computer. So hopefully everything will be controlled by the computer. So that's that one out. Next thing is I'm going to drop this front roller off. That'll be probably it for today. Okay, so as you can see, me and Chris have just basically taken this dyno completely apart. So we pulled both of the rollers off, pulled the brake off, or the retarder should I say. So it's just stripped right back now to the sort of the bare chassis which sits at the bottom, which in itself is actually quite heavy. This whole thing is extremely heavy. It's just ridiculously well made. So all combined together it makes for a very heavy unit, but now it's stripped down and it's sort of handleable, although the rollers themselves are sort of a 2 men at each end job just to sort of shunt it around. They are a hell of a weight. So now that we've got this basically stripped right down, I'm going to, this frame and everything is going to get pressure washed off first, sort of cleaned up, and I'll give that a quick paint job. Same goes with all the sort of top, that'll all have to be wire brushed and cleaned and eventually painted. Probably not until we've mocked it in position, because that can lift out nice and easily and paint afterwards. But we'll get this frame sort of cleaned up now. At least then when you're putting everything back together, you aren't getting lagged in grease and stuff. All the bearings on this unit are greasable, which means that over the years, obviously where the grease has been seeping out the side of the bearings, it's kind of gone everywhere, including inside the end of the rolls, which makes for a right mess if you try lifting it up by the end. So we'll get that all cleaned out. But that's basically what it looks like now. It's all completely apart. So this piece will actually now drop into the base of the dyno once it's cleaned and painted. We'll then set the rollers on the frame above the holes. Then it'll be a case of putting the top frame back on, and then we need to align the sort of the chassis and the rollers with the top. The top is, we've already measured the top to be 100% square with the entrance and the pit. So it's then a case of lining the rollers up with that. So the next step really will be to get this cleaned up.